In every thriving democracy, the opposition is the watchdog, the alternative voice, the balanced force. But in Nigeria, questions are mounting. Are the opposition parties united enough to challenge power, or internal divisions weaken the impact? Hello and welcome to Discuss, your platform for critical national conversation. I am Samuel Odi. On today's edition, we examine the state of opposition politics in Nigeria with major parties like the People's Democratic Party, Labour Party, ADC, New Nigerian People's Party. Many expected a formidable challenge to the ruling All Progressive Congress. But internal crisis, leadership struggle, and defections continue to raise concerns. So we ask, is the opposition in Nigeria a united front or a fragmented force? That's a topic we will be looking at today. Following the 2023 general elections, opposition parties have faced mounting internal challenges. The People's Democratic Party continues to grapple with post-election division and leadership disputes, which is being chaired by the current Minister of the FCT, Mr. Nyeso Wike. The Labour Party, which saw a surge in youth support, is battling internal faction crisis. Meanwhile, the New Nigerian People's Party remains regionally inflated but struggles with national cohesion. Political analyst says this division weakens the ability to uphold the ruling All Progressive Progress's accountable defections. Political realignment and legal battles have further complicated Nigeria's opposition system. So this is something very serious that we'll be looking to have a conversation around, based on the fact that an election year is upon us. And from the look of things, so far, it seems that we are only having a one-party system, which is the All Progressive Congress, which is the incumbent party in leadership. So, taking over, we've seen a series of defection of governors from PDP, Labour Party, and also senators and House of Representative members, or the party, the campaign to the All Progressive Congress. Today we'll be asking questions, we'll be interacting, and to find out why is all of this happening. That's one. And also, does the opposition parties in Nigeria have the force, the capability to unseat this incumbent government with the whole party crisis, internal crisis that has been going on with not one, not two, but multiple parties, in political parties here in Nigeria? We'll be having those conversations. We've seen some individuals moving to the ADC, some moving to NNPP, the Nigerian New Democratic Party, and nobody is making moves to the PDP and Labour Party. Still, report reaching us is that there is now a fraction in the ADC, which is looking like the coalition was looking as if it has the capacity and the capability to be able to unseat the current leadership of the APC. But with this current fragmentation going on, we are wondering if their house is even in order to want to run, because they will be having primaries. The likes of Atiku, Rotimi Amechi, David Mark, Peter Obi, and other influential individuals are in the ADC, and we are also hearing all of these concerns around fractions within one party, just like what is happening in the PDP, the same happening in Labour Party. And we're seeming to see that there is so much unrest within this party aside from that of the APC. To join us unpack this topic of opposition parties, whether they are united or fragmented, is the national president of Not Too Young to Perform, a political commentator and a journalist, in the person of Comrade James Izema. Comrade, thank you for joining us on today's edition of Discourse.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Yeah, so looking at all of this now, can you just quickly help us unpack what's going on in the political system and basically in the world of the opposition so far? Give us your analysis of what's happening with all of the opposition parties.
Well, the opposition parties are bedeviled by the same pattern of we can call it a familiar pattern of issues that have continued to bedevil them and continue to make them ineffective.
Yes.
It was the Minister of FCT that one time made a statement and said that if you are not going to do XYZ, we will come to your state and we will put fire. So, yes. So it is, you know, sometimes if you watch the pattern, you see that the pattern is the same, you know.
The same individuals moving from one party to the other. Yeah. Just a circle.
Just a circle.
Has broken out literally from the circle.
And politics in Nigeria is such that you know, when there's this level of ambiguity as regards ideology, it is what has made politics in Nigeria look as if it's just a child's play, as if it's all about power grabbing. You see, political party politics is not just about occupying office. It's also about trying to deepen democratic process and trying to provide alternative to even the government in power.
Yes.
You are in opposition doesn't mean that you must run the government down. Sometimes as opposition you provide a better alternative to the policies of the government of the day, so that the government of the day will have something that they can say, okay, probably we are not getting it right here, let's get it right by taking a bit of probably the alternative provided by the opposition. That's how politics is supposed to be. But you know, in this part of the world, when the opposition is providing alternative, people see it as hatred for the ruling party. Then the ruling party in itself would not want to borrow some of those ideas and implement, because they feel that if they borrow those ideas and implement, it will now mean that they are weak and they are no longer the powers that be. So, and that's why you see that the people that bear the brunt at the end of the day are the Nigerian people. It's the Nigerian masses that now suffer because as the old maxim goes, where two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffer. So it's the masses of the Nigerian people that suffer. You know, they suffer because the government of the day will lack ideological and political clarity, you know, and then the opposition in itself may be providing alternatives, but rather than the ruling party taking those alternatives and implementing them, and at the end of it all, the people will be happy. They will say no, that if you borrow from them, it will be as if we don't know what we are doing. So, and then that is not how what politics, party politics, is supposed to be like. It's not about it's not like a war that you want to win at any cost. No, it is about the people. It's about providing dividend of democracy. It's about making the democratic process better. Assuming you through free and fair election you got to office, you are supposed to take that free and fair election to a higher level, where more transparency, you improve on what is on ground to improve on transparency and things like that. But that is not the case in Nigerian politics. In Nigerian politics, is all about you who is in power. How do I remain in power perpetually? It is not about how have you delivered the dividend of democracy. Is not about how is the Nigerian people faring. It's not about how better the citizens are. Irrespective of the opinion of citizens, you see that people who are in power, they will always want to do things the way they want it to be done, and not about you know, opinion of the people. Because the reason is because when the democratic process that produce leaders is such that is always manipulated, and you cannot hold the institutions that supposed to monitor those processes accountable, even after they would have manipulated the process in favor of somebody. You cannot still even hold them accountable, and that has become a very big problem, and is a big issue that I think it will only take a matter of divine intervention. I know, in Nigeria we like to pray. As I was coming here, someone was talking on a radio station.
Yes.
He was saying, kind of thanking the anchor of a program, that look, the prayer you prayed yesterday worked. Thank God that we have light today. He said, I beg, please pray that prayer again today.
But prayer was
but governance is not by prayer. Governance is not by prayer.
Yes.
Everywhere in the world, when you are incompetent, you are incompetent.
Yes.
When you are competent, you are competent. It's not about by prayer. You don't run government.
Actually, you don't run government obviously by prayer. You run it by initiative, by policies, and then seeing through that those policies are, being not just good on paper, but implemented to the latter. So let's look at it now. We're talking opposition parties now. The likes of PDP, ADC, Labour Party, SDP, and the New Nigerian People's Party. Do you think they are doing enough to be able to give the APC, based on the strategies that the APC is mapping out? Do you think any of this opposition party can actually be a major threat to this forthcoming election? And again, do you think a particular candidate from all of these affirmation parties would pose a bigger threat? Do you think any candidate can pose a bigger threat emerging from any of these parties? Because very soon we'll be seeing convention, the APC convention will be coming around the corner. That of PDP, that is under the minister's faction, their own convention would also be coming up, and then we'll see parties start gearing up for primary elections, so before campaigns roll in properly. So you know what I'm talking about. Walk us through it. If there's any of these parties or a candidate that can from any of the parties that can give APC a reasonable amount of run for their money come 2027 election.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the 2027 elections have already been conducted, and I think they are going to perfect it just in this trip that they have gone to UK. They will just perfect the election result, and then
how do you mean it's already done?
I can tell you that is just the way it is.
Okay.
You see, the opposition political parties are not actually living up to their bidding, because there's nothing wrong in aspiring. Everybody can aspire.
Okay.
But when you are aspiring and your aspiration is killing the system in itself, then you will know that you should either withdraw or try as much as possible to make sure that the system or the political party in this case does not die, because you may have your way today, but tomorrow you may still need a political party platform to operate.
Yes.
There are no country where you have more than one president within a political tenure.
Yes.
So you have one person who is a president per time.
Okay.
So, and then if you missed it or you rock the boat today because you are not getting it, the next time you will still need a political party platform.
Yes.
And that's why it is easy for them to jump from one political party to the other, because one is that the ideological difference is not there. The ideological line is so ambiguous that you cannot even differentiate it and say, okay, this is what Labour Party stands for, this is what APC stands for, this is what PDP stands for, this is what ADC stands for, this is what NNPP stands for.
Just like what happened in the US.
Yes, then you cannot say that this is what a particular political party stands for. And that is the problem.
Okay.
And that is why you find it difficult. You find it difficult to have one person that stay in a political party all through his political lifetime.
Yes.
Most times you see that they either transform to another political party, or they bring other political party into themselves, like APC did, and form a merger. You see, you don't form mergers because mergers are not easy. if there are ideological differences. You cannot just come and form mergers. No, it is not going to be as simple as just come, let us just form merger. No, because you will begin to think about the ideological perspective of each of these political parties. How will they be able to meet? At what point are they going to meet? Is it a merger of individuals? If that one is workable, because individuals, they can change in terms of their interests and things like that. But a political party is supposed to be known by a particular ideology, and then another political party cannot actually easily swallow that political party, because that political party ab initio, in fact, before applying for registration, it has its own ideology. And then you cannot come and take over that party and say, let us subsume this party into a particular interest. So when you do that, you would have consumed the ideological perspective of that political party, and no political party, properly so called, will allow that. So that's why it is easy for coalition mergers and all kinds of things, and then the what is now called in the political balance in Nigeria, the jumpology, where people defect from one political party to another without even blinking an eye, and to the extent that somebody would have been elected as a governor in a particular political party, the next minute you have jumped ship to another political party, carrying the mandate of another party to the same a different political party, even when that is contrary to the ruling of the Supreme Court on the ownership of votes at election. And then these are the things. And then because we have a judiciary that cannot be relied on when it comes to political party. I always say it that the judiciary, our Nigerian judiciary, they do well when it comes to every other matter. But when it comes to issues that has to do with political parties, it's about who has influence more.
So you think it's an influence?
It's about influence. It's about corruption. It's about coercion. These are the three things that play a role in what is happening when it comes to political party judgments in court. It's about influence, who has influence, who has the ear of a particular judge, and things like that. Then corruption, which judge is ready to play ball and collect money and do whatever he wants to do. Then third is coercion. You don't allow them to influence you by any means. You are not ready to collect money. Then by night they call you, and then probably you get all manner of threats, and then probably they will look at you and see that yesterday maybe you took money from someone else, and today you didn't want to take our own. They will now bring your file before you, and then at the end of the day we have nothing to do. So these are things that happen. These are things that happen in a political society. These are things that happen in a political society, especially when a government in power is draconian or is autocratic. In political science, some of those autocratic governments are seen to be people that they rule by intimidation. So there's leadership by intimidation, leadership by coercion. They use all kinds of things to beat you into line when you don't want to be there. If in some cases they use divide and rule, like what is happening within the political parties that form the bulk of opposition in the country. So you will see divide and rule tactics being used, and then like in the one that are talking about, the ADC, which is now the latest in the whole issue, you will see that what they did was they now have to use the old block versus the new block. So the old block, the people who have been there, it is like, oh, you people were here, somebody came from somewhere and came and took over your party, and then you are not doing anything. So it is.
But do you think that is being influenced from someone outside of the party?
Definitely is a matter of an influence that is something that is instigated from outside of the party. The party, no political party wants to destroy itself. But when people, it's just like what happened. The long road that Labour Party went was all about because Obi had a good outing under Labour Party platform and in 2023. So, and then because he was there and he himself did not do well in terms of providing leadership for the party, because if he did well and provided the right leadership for the party, the crisis that followed the party was something that could have been nipped in the bud. Like I used to, he would have been dealt with internally, because there were signs, there were, before even external influence hijacked the party crisis. There are things you will see that were happening along the way, of which, if as the party leader by Nigerian standard, having been the presidential candidate, the moment you emerge the presidential candidate of your party in Nigeria, you become the national leader of the party, and that is how it is. Whether you win the election or not, you are the leader of the party, and you are supposed to take charge and take care of the party, because whatever happens to the party affects you. So ordinarily that is an aberration, because the leader of the party is supposed to be the national chairman of the party. But that's why I said it's by Nigerian standard. Yes. So political party will produce a president that is bigger than the party. That is how it is in Nigeria. It is the president that is produced by the party that controls the party. Is the one that even decides who becomes the national chairman of the party at any point in time. So, and that's why political parties in Nigeria, they don't have roots. They don't have roots, and that's why you can see some of all these crises coming here and there and things like that, because the membership is such that is about influence, because somebody who is up there is the one that decides whether you get a ticket or not. It's not whether you merit to that ticket, or there's a level playing field for everybody, for every party member. It is about who is the person that is anointed, and that is the problem. That is why political parties in Nigeria will always be in crisis, because you cannot run a political party and then you will be the one deciding who gets what and who does not get what. It should be something that should be open for everybody to come and test their popularity and let the most popular win. Let me give you an example. When PDP was to hold their convention in Ibadan, there was the allegation of exclusion by Sule Lamido, the former governor of the Gawa State. So he felt that he was excluded by the process. And then you don't do that in a democracy. In a democracy, you bring everybody together. If you have an ambition, come together, come and then throw in your own, bring on your cards on the table. And then let's see, at the end of it all, let me know who is most popular and let the person be the person to emerge. That's why sometimes this belief that it is APC that is against some of these, creating some of these factions in the political parties, is because the political parties themselves, they are weak. The political party structure is weak. When
based on the ideology.
Yes, based on the internal democracy and impunity that goes on within the party. Because where individuals are the ones that influence what happens, it is easy to put the fire that they are talking about in any political party. Even as APC is, if not because the leader of the party, the president of the party, has a kind of a robust grassroots political experience. So he's not somebody that you know him from Lagos. He's not somebody that you can just come and take something from his table without him giving you a fight. So that is the only reason why you have not seen that level of issues within the APC, because he's somebody that will always want to take charge and be in control of whatever he is doing. And that is the reason why all these opposition parties, they either come together and form a single bloc to contest in the 2027 presidential election, or they just stay on their own and then forget about the election, because the election has already been concluded, because the APC currently has virtually all the state governors within their fold. Yes. Even the ones that have not declared interest to join the APC, they are saying that they are going to work for the president. So what are we now talking about? Yes. So it is 100% loyalty from all the governors, from the 36 state governors, and of course the FCT minister is a battle axe of the president. So
okay, you mentioned something earlier, still in line with the trip of Mr. President. You said the trip was more like icing on the cake for the 2027 election, but the president didn't mention going to the UK to have any political conversation around 2027 election. Well, he said it's about improving bilateral.
You see, politics is such that those who are in it, they are the one that can tell.
Yes.
If you are not in politics, you will not understand.
Yes.
You see, it is platforms like this,
yes,
like the trip to the UK,
yes,
which ordinarily is a neutral trip,
yes,
is what they use to cement agreements, in politics.
Are we expecting the president to go to the US too?
It is possible.
Okay.
It is possible. He has his lobbyists. They can get Trump to invite him.
Okay.
There's nothing that is impossible.
Okay.
So, but the important thing now is that there are some people, some individuals, some Nigerians that have traveled to UK on their own.
Yes.
Without even being invited by anybody, because they know that since the president is going to be there, that is an opportunity to meet him.
Yes.
For them, they have their own interests, they have their own things they want to do, and then they feel that the best place we're now going to meet him is in this place. Yeah. So some of them will go and lodge either in the same hotel where he's going to lodge, or where they are going to lodge him, or they will stay in a nearby hotel where they can stroll in and stroll out, yes, and they'll be hanging around and trying to see whether the president will catch a glimpse of them. Yeah. So that is how it happens, and that's how it works. So it is like somebody who is in business.
Yes.
You go to prospect and canvas for customers and pitch,
yes,
whatever. Yes. That is what it is. So people have already gone to canvas and look for favors and things like that, yes, who were not invited by anybody. They were neither invited by the president. They are not in the president's entourage. Neither were they invited by the UK government. But they went there because they have the means and they can easily bought their own private jets and off they go. So yes, that is it. But the truth of it is that opposition party in Nigeria is more or less like dead, because the fragmentation in the opposition parties are so bad that it will take a big miracle, yes, for us to have an opposition that will come together before 2027 election and eventually win that election. It will take a very big miracle.
Before we ask you a question on that, let's retreat a little bit. You made mention of the fact that any party that gets to a point where he appoints or gets a candidate to run for the presidency, that's automatically, looking at Nigerian standard, that individual automatically becomes more
do you think strategically than what he did, yes, even after the election? The crisis in Labour Party would not have snowballed into that. Let me tell you something about Labour Party crisis.
Yes.
Before the election, the national youth leader of the party was suspended arbitrarily by the national leader of the party.
Yes.
By the chairman, the national chairman of the party.
Yes.
The committees were set up, and as we speak now, up till now, both the reconciliation committee, all the committee that sat to look at the suspension and the crisis and everything, at this moment we are talking, yes, there is no report anywhere that was presented by either of them. Okay. So because the national chairman of the party at the time was not ready, for anything. Probably he had some people who were beating drums for him. That is what only him can actually tell. Yes, but as it is, it became obvious that something was wrong somewhere within the party. And then if as a leader the then presidential candidate of the party did not know that something was wrong when somebody was arbitrarily suspended. And that's where the whole party crisis started. And then before you know it, they now probably wanted to say, okay, let us go through the election. But when you have gone through the election, at the end of it, you still saw the handwriting on the wall. You saw the factions, that were breeding. You saw the Lamidi Papa group that was coming up, and rather than try as much as possible to bring these factions together as a leader and put them at one table and say, come guys, let us deal with this issue. Let me know what is your problem. This other guy, what is your problem? What is the issues? They table their issues, and then you now get them together and say, okay, let us build this party, and let us do it this way, do it that way, and then let us see how we can manage ourselves and then move on. And then the whole crisis would have ended. But what happened was that as the leader of the party, he now sided one part of the faction that was who does that? You don't do that in politics, where you now as a leader go and stand and be standing and be supporting a particular faction. Because what you do is that if that faction decide to take the carpet from under your feet, you are falling. So you don't do that. What you try to do is try to unite the party. You don't help to fuel the factionalization of the party by saying that you are going to stay with one part of it. It's the same problem that with the PDP, rather than them working to bring people together and see how they can work together as a political party, you are now suspending this person, the other person is suspending the other. So factions, this faction suspend this faction, this faction suspend that faction. Even when your faction takes over the control of the party, you see a seed that has been sown is there, and it will germinate. It will wait for you sometime in your political future, because he is going to come home with harvest, because there's no seed that is planted that germinates that will not bear fruit, and the time of harvest will come. So some of these people, when they do some of these things they're actually killing their political future, because at a time there's a time we will get to in Nigeria whereby some of these people will lose political relevance. Totally. They will be swept away. This current president is not going to be a president forever. There was somebody that was president there before. Somebody finished his tenure. Even when they said that, I had some people that was somebody was making throwing one kind of what do we call it? He said that the president will do a third term. That he deserves a third term. We have not finished second term.
We've not finished first time.
We have not finished first term. We have not even entered second term. We are saying that the president deserves a third term. Yes, even if he deserves a third term, even if he's going to do a life president, he will not still be a president forever. There will be a day and a time that he will not be on that seat. So just like every other person who have occupied that office and have left, some people completed their tenure and left. So, and some people by divine providence who did not live to complete their tenure. So that's why they tell you that power belongs to God, and he gives it to whomsoever he pleases. So sometimes we should stop playing God, so that we will give room for the mercy of God tomorrow, because because things are not going to work your way all the time.
Okay, obviously things are not going to work your way all the time, but let's look at these other angles. There are lots of angles now. We've been talking about the opposition party, but what does an ideal opposition party look like in a Nigerian system?
Well, we have not had an ideal opposition party because if we have the opposition party properly so called,
yes,
a strong opposition party properly so called, Nigeria will not be the way it is.
Okay.
Because when there's an opposition party, it puts the ruling party on its toe. You know, the APC is relaxed because there's no opposition anywhere. They are relaxed. You can see what is happening, that there were some crises here and there, security issues here and there.
Yes, we'll get to that.
But the president traveled, you know, and then I can tell you that he will stay the period of the duration of his stay that he was planned. Because why? There is nothing. Why should you hurry and come back? Because there is nothing happening at home. No opposition, nothing. There's no opposition party that is good enough to win election. I have not seen.
Okay, well, let's hope that they get their acts all together and then find a way somehow if they want to still be in the political space. So let's look at, we mentioned something about governors who won their elections from a different platform and then moved to a different platform. What do you think should be done? Do you think they should, you mentioned the Supreme Court earlier to mention, saying that they need, you know, it's against the Supreme Court.
Yes, the vote is actually belongs to the party. So it belongs
to the party. So what do you think now to happen to those governors that are switching platforms from the one they originally won the elections from?
No, there is nothing that will happen because we have a country where there is no consequence for breaching the law if you are protected by those who are up there. Once you are protected, you are in the good books of the people up there, and you break the law, there is no consequence. So that is how it is. It's only those who don't have anybody that protect them that break the law, and you see them, they will go in for it. That is that's how the Nigerian society is. So there is nothing that is going to happen to them. You know, you will see that what people are talking about is about whether you join two political party or three political party and all those kind of things. Yes. Nobody is talking about amending the Electoral Act in such a manner that if you move from one political party to another, then you will lose your seat. Nobody will do that because the people who are going to make the law are people who don't have any political party they can call their own. The only political party that they can call their own is the political party on which they want to contest the next election. So once they finish contesting that election, they don't have political party any longer. Until the next election they will look for another political platform that they will use to climb the ladder. Because in Nigeria, if there were independent candidacy provision in the laws, it would have been better. You will see that some people may not join political party at all because are you going to come and cause crisis in my house?
No.
so that is it, because you are an independent candidate, and then you will run your election as an independent candidate. But in Nigeria, you must by law be sponsored by a political party. If it's not a political party that sponsored you for an election, there's no way you can contest election in Nigeria, and that is where the problem is.
Okay, what do you think should be done there, since that's a problem?
What we should do, there should be a provision for independent candidacy, so that people can, on their own, based on their personal popularity, contest for election and win, and then or lose, as the case may be. So, but people should be able to run as independent candidates. People that feel that they don't want to belong to any political party because of especially some of these crises that are coming up here and there. They will be able to run for any position of their interest, and then if they win, fine. If they lose, that's it.
Okay. Well, you've seen a recent massive trend about parties, governors. Out of 36 states, we have around 34 governors who have joined the camp to the All Progressive Congress. Can you walk us through why you think this trend is happening? Is the APC that's so organized and having a significant goal, aside the renewed hope agenda, aside supporting Mr. President? Do you think that the APC as a party has a strong ideology that is making 34 out of 36 governors decamp and join the ruling party?
Well, it is all about the sharing formula. So you go for where your stomach is protected, because when I say...
So this time around, these governors are not thinking about the people, they are just thinking about themselves. They are thinking
about themselves. When I talk about where your stomach is protected, is about your political interest. Some of them want to come back for a second tenure. And they feel that, look, if I want to win an election, I have to align with the president so that the president can help me win. Some of them are not even doing well in their state. So, and they don't have the audacity to face the electorate in their state. They want somebody who can influence INEC and influence somebody that will influence INEC, and they get them to get the party ticket and also to win. And that is it. Then on the other hand, some of them are afraid that if the president should win and they did not support him, and then they finish their tenure by 2027 and they leave office, that they could use the anti-graft agencies against them, and then they will be in trouble. And they feel that the only insurance they will have is to join the bandwagon and then become part of the moving train. So, and then on the other side, there are some people who have no other job they do except politics. And then if you take the food out of their hand, then they are gone. So what they want to do is to make sure that they get where stay close to the table where the sharing is happening, so that if they don't pick from the table, they can at least pick from the crop.
So the ideology now, based on what you're saying, that means the ideology of the APC is you can go commit crime somewhere else, and then when you join the APC, your crimes are forgiven.
Well, the thing they are talking about is, political crimes are no crimes, really, unless it is remembered by the powers that be. Political crimes are no crimes. Once the political crime is remembered by the powers that be, that's when it becomes a crime. But if you belong to the good books of the powers that be, it's not only the APC, it's not only the PDP. We have seen it happen. Even in states where you see that some of these, some political parties are in power. Before the sweeping of the states by the APC, you see that when you are in the good books of the governor in the states, you fear no evil, for the governor is with you, and then there's nothing that will before you. Even if when you commit any offense, the governor will wield the stick and say, okay, leave this one. The scepter is in his favor.
We've seen a sitting senator who says, when you join the APC,
was he not the national chairman of the party at the time? Adam Soshomole that said when you join the APC that your sins are forgiven. So we have seen that, and we know also that if you overdo, they will put fire in your state as deputy minister has once said. So if your political party is gathering momentum that you want to actually take up power from some of the powers that be, they will put fire in your political party, and then things will go haywire, and then before you know it, everybody will go back to square one.
We hope we don't go back to square one, but let's go on a very, very quick break. Let's go on a quick break, and when we return back, this conversation continues as we would find out the risks involved when the opposition party is not strong enough in a democratic system of government. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining, this is Discuss. We're having conversation around opposition politics. Are these opposition parties, strong enough, or are they focused, or are they currently being fragmented. But there are a series of concerns that we have been looking at. One of those that we'll be looking at now is the risks involved in a democratic system of government when the opposition is weak or even divided. And from everything we have here in Nigeria, the opposition parties we have are divided. The ones that some Nigerians are hoping would deliver the dividends of democracy, which is the ADC, now is having a fraction within its system, where some persons are saying the former Senate President David Mark is not a member of that particular party. But we'll be looking at just the risks. I have still with me Comrade James Ezima, a journalist and also a political analyst, as well as the national president of Not Too Young to Perform Initiative. Thank you for still staying with us. But quickly, what are the challenges, the risks involved in a democratic system of government where the opposition party is basically not a threat to the ruling party?
Well, when in any society where there is no a strong opposition, even the ruling party will be at a disadvantage.
Oh, okay.
And I will tell you why. The party will be so much in a disadvantage because they will not do their best.
Okay.
Their best will not be what they are going to give to the people.
Okay.
If let's assume that we have a very strong opposition party, like as we have in the United States, whereby you know that it is either the Republican winning the election or the Democrat winning the election, and then at every point in time, both Democrats and then the Republican, they are both strong. And they have the capability of winning the election. You will see that what the people will get is actually the best of the particular political party that is in power at every point in time, because they will want to make sure that they endear themselves to the masses, and then they give their best to the masses, and then they at the end of it also, it is that political party that takes the glory for what the party has done, even though they were even when they are forced to do it, it is because they have done it. That's what they will use to campaign in the next election. Because the people are now happy, the electorate are happy with them. But when the opposition is weak, the political party in power will carry out their program in a more or less like a laissez-faire attitude. They just do it in a way, a manner that after all, there's no threat anywhere. Yes, we can contain them. So they just relax and then they will give their best. And at every point in time, when a political party is not giving its best, if by any stroke of chance any other political party decides to take over or happens to take over power, just like APC did in 2015, it would be a very big blow to them. You know what PDP is suffering today is because within the 16 years that they were in power, if they were able to use it maximally and had given Nigerians the kind of leadership that people were yearning for at the time. I don't think APC would have happened to Nigeria at all. APC would not have come to power because these people would have been giving Nigerians back-to-back good governance, and there will be no need for people to start strongly pursuing the alternative. But today, as it is, the APC will also have to get the fair share of that kind of treatment if peradventure and by any stroke of luck there is another political party that attains power, that takes power from them. Because even when the president finishes his tenure, first tenure, second tenure, and probably third term, as some people are suggesting, so even if when he finishes those, the party will still suffer, because if they did not deliver dividend of democracy in such a manner that is unparalleled, that is equal to the patient and of the people and the suffering they have gone through. Because you cannot be talking about that you did a road in XYZ corner of the country.
Yes.
And then the kind of things that people have suffered so far is something that the pain is so much that road that you have done in XYZ side of the country is not enough to compensate for the patients, it's not enough to compensate for the pain, it's not enough to compensate for all the trauma that people have gone through. So you will still come back to tell on the party at any other time when the people have decided that it is enough. Because as it is today,
yes,
I can tell you that a day will come when the people will say it is enough, because we cannot take it any longer.
With the level of insecurity that has been recorded since the APC government emerged, and the most recent that we saw this week in Maiduguri, do you think it's time for the people to stand up and say enough of insecurity, enough of this APC government, it's time for a change come 2027?
Well, you see, Nigerians are special kind of people. We are so special in the sense that our elastic limit is more or less like limitless, you know. But I can tell you that there will be a time that it will break.
Yeah.
Yes, there will be a time that it will break. There will be a time. It may not be within the lifetime of this generation, yes, but there will be a time that some people will say, no, we cannot take this any longer. Yes. We can't continue to live as slaves in our own country, yes, whereby we are supposed to be having constant power supply, yes, and then we cannot have it. You know, today in Nigeria, if you are able to have 5 hours of power supply in this country, you are living in a paradise. Yes. And that is the problem that we are having. Now, the basic things, there's no water. In the FCT as it is, even as a federal capital territory, yes, you cannot boast of water. In fact, in some places, you will see water coming out of the pipe from the water board, yes, once in a month, or once in 3 months, or once in 5 months. By the time the water is coming, you will see everywhere is wet, as if we're in a place where they are doing irrigation. Why? Because the pipes have been rusting all this while, because there's no water that is passing through. So once that power the force of the water comes, it will burst all the pipes, and you see everywhere looking as if you are in an irrigation farm. Yes. So that is what is happening in FCT right now. Yes. If that is what the lot of FCT, then tell me what is happening in the states, yes, where the governors don't even bother. Some states, they don't even know when the last time they saw anything called water board. You know, we didn't have it.
We saw in Abia State where a community celebrated having power supply first time in 20 years since Alex Oti emerged as governor. Because beyond the Alex Oti emerging as governor in Abia State, there's something that happened in Abia State. Yes. You remember that the former minister of power, Professor Batin, he has his power company that he using Abia State as his testing ground. You know, when he was the minister of power, yes, we had steady improvement in power generation and power distribution. Yes. And then he had this roadmap that was celebrated at that time, yes, the roadmap for power in Nigeria. Yeah. That I don't know where the kind of dustbin where they put that roadmap, the document. So it was a policy document that he was following very systematically, yes, until crisis erupted, where people now started to say, oh, is it that your company that is bidding for power project and you are the minister of power? You have to choose one. Either you choose your company or you choose the office. He said, no, let me go home and go and mind my company. And now that he is minding his company, the Abia State people are the ones that are benefiting from that decision that he took. Well, there's so much we still want to talk about in line with this topic, but time will not permit us. I want to say a very big thank you to you for taking our time to join us on today's edition of Discourse, Comrade James Ezema.
Thank you very much for bringing me here.
All right, as Nigeria's democracy evolves, the role of opposition parties remain very critical, not just as critics of government, but as valuable alternatives for leadership, whether fragmented or united. The future of opposition politics politics will shape the nation's democratic journey. And that's the size of today's conversation. I am Samuel Odi. I'll see you again as we discuss further. Bye for now.